gems. Today, we have family in the building, royalty in the building. Not only is this one of the illest wordsmiths out there, this is one of the most intricate, intelligent, and stoic minds that I've had the honor and privilege to build with. You may know him as Pablo Picasso. You may know him as the Peruvian John Bernthal. You may be aware that he has infinite drama with the PETA organization due to his affinity for exotic furs and fabrics. Either way, this brother's name is Eff Yoo. My dude was shaking.
Hello, hello. Finally. Finally, I get to talk to you. I don't know, a lot of people might not know. Me and Spit Gems have never spoken. This will be the first
Yeah, It's,
time.
it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy, man.
My brother,
Yo,
thank you for having me, man.
nah, for sure, man. This was part of the contractual agreement I made with the Peruvian Mafia. They said we
Yeah,
had to
we
have
cool.
you on, and I'm one to hold my word, brother.
Yeah,
I
we're good
see
now.
you.
I'll call him after.
Yo, thank you for taking the time, though, F. I know you are super busy these days. Word up, man.
For sure, man. Got a new addition. Not so new. She'll be 2 in June. Got a little baby after 21 years of having a different
Crazy,
baby.
crazy. God bless,
But
son.
thank you, man. Thank you. But nah, I always make time for you. We talk every day, man. I don't know how much the
Indeed.
people know or not, and it's a great part to my day. After it's usually like after full work day, fucking my head's breaking. I call my G or he calls me, and we just talk for like a couple hours about whatever. So
No doubt, no doubt. Building is essential, man. It's vital, man. And I encourage more people. You know what I mean? Reach out to your people as much as you can, as often as you can, and continue to cultivate. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, once again, thank you, bro. I see you down in the lair. You know what I'm
yes,
saying? I
sir.
see some items in the background. What's going on over there?
I mean, that's my little collection wall. You know what I mean? It's getting a little filled up. I got some rare comic books up there. I got an MF Doom mask, rest in peace.
Nice,
Some
rest in peace.
fucking Bape shit, Supreme shit. I don't know why, man. I'm like a collector and shit. My wife calls it hoarding, but I call it collecting. So,
Yeah, they tend to have different definitions for certain things. You know what I
word
mean?
up, word up. But I was lucky enough to when I bought my house, I sealed off the basement, and I'm like, yo, I'm gonna do whatever I want. So I got my art, I got my music, my studio, built a booth down here. I got a cigar room, and I got all my fucking tchotchkes and knickknacks. That whatever I want is down here. You know what I mean? She can have the rest of the
Right.
house.
No doubt. No doubt. That's what's up, man. Every man needs his space.
Definitely.
Indeed. Well, you know how this goes, F. We're gonna jump right into what is supposedly some of the difficult questions, the questions that I tend to have the most interest in when I'm speaking to another human being. The first of those questions is, do you believe in God?
Most definitely. I do most definitely believe in God. I think God, he's the universal starter pistol, right? He's
Uh,
started everything. You know what I mean? And I think he still guides us, but in the same way, he's so massive that you can't think that he only thinks about you, but he still guides you in a way. You know what I'm saying? Just like I think we all return to energy when we pass away. I don't necessarily believe in heaven or hell, but I think we all return to energy. That energy is guiding us. You know what I mean? But it's not an old man with a white beard looking at what you do every day. You know what I'm saying?
right. El, that would be the Canaanite god El, that image of the old man with the white beard.
Right, right. He was
The
American, right?
the
He looks American.
no doubt. But the image of the ever loving, caring father deity, you know what I mean? Has a lot of prevalence to the Canaanite deity El. And that's actually one of the versions of higher power that I think is dope. You know what I mean? Regardless if it's even though it's anthropomorphic, you know what I mean? People is envisioning it as a man. You know what I'm saying? I think the idea of just a father and learning in my life how important fatherhood actually is and what it actually means to be a father and to be responsible for
Right.
life that you brought forth. You know what I mean? It's pretty ill, man. But yo, thank you for that. Thank you for that. I agree. I agree. I do believe we are being guided in ways that we understand and ways that we don't understand. Absolutely. Now, the next question that follows that one is, and I like to frame it this way: what comes to mind when you hear the word religion?
Well, to me, it's two things, right? I feel like um, ancient religions were a way to explain things to man that was just starting to realize, oh shit, there's a sun and it makes me hot. Where does that come from? Oh shit, every now and then the earth shakes. Every now and then water falls from the sky. And I believe ancient religions were a way to explain things to early man. You know what I mean? But I think modern religion was more of a way to control man. And I don't necessarily mean control in an evil way, even though it can go that way. I just mean a way to kind of corral men to listen to a certain way and be a certain way. And it might have started off innocent enough, right? Like be good, be kind to each other, don't go out there being a barbarian, killing each other. The first word that comes to mind is control. And if we're talking ancient religions, the first word that comes to mind is explanation, explaining.
That makes perfect sense to me. And I think I would agree with that. I tend to agree with that. And I think the evolution of religion, organized religion, and then the blending of politics and religion on a once civilization gets to a more commerce based
Right.
paradigm, I think that the organized aspect of religion starts to become intrinsic with political agendas and aspirations. For sure, man.
I
Thank
mean,
you for
it's
that, though,
it's
F.
it's human nature. You know what I mean? I don't want anyone to think I don't believe in faith, or I don't believe faith is powerful, or I believe that people who follow certain religions are a certain way. That's not at all. I know
Mm,
that there are
correct.
loving and caring people of all different religions, and I know that faith is a powerful thing. But yeah, I think it definitely, the saying, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that's just
Absolutely.
human nature. I don't blame, I really don't blame them for that. You know what I mean? It's human nature. Once they get into that level, up to that height, they start feeling that power. Like, wow, what if I tell them I'm the only person who can speak to God? Then fucking, I can't be denied and shit. So, I think that's how it kind of evolved.
Yeah, I agree with that. Indeed, especially concerning being corrupted by power. And I don't think anyone's above that. You know, everyone
Right.
is susceptible to being corrupted by power. And I think the more you accept the fact that you can be corrupted by power, the less of a chance of you being corrupted by certain outside powers. Um, but you touched on something, and I think that's wild important as well. F to especially for the viewers who may not be familiar with certain ideologies and certain perceptions of these things, especially coming from us, coming from the home team. You know what I mean? I think it's important to express that even though one may not have religion, such as myself, the faith is ridiculously strong, and
Right.
we can go back and forth to whether or not one knows or one believes in a God, you know what I mean, or a higher power. And you can sometimes it's hard to tell those two things apart, whether you believe or whether you know. You know what I mean? It's a slippery slope. But I think either way, when you affirm it in that way, it's because there is something inherently in all of us that tells us, yo, you know what I mean? There is a source, a creator, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's alive inside all of us. And some people it sprouts through religion, and in
Right.
some people they never even come across religion and have powerful connections with their creator.
Yeah,
Indeed.
definitely. I think if you're a righteous person, it's going to shine through no matter what religion you may follow or if you don't follow a religion. Because there's definitely righteous people everywhere of all shapes, colors, sizes, religious beliefs,
100%.
etc. You know what I mean? But if you follow that religion righteously and you truly believe it, I can't fault you for maybe turning a blind eye to certain things in that religion that maybe I don't agree with, and and that's why I don't follow religion. But if you're following it for a righteous reason, I can't fault you, man, and I fuck with you.
Indeed. Likewise, likewise. And I've learned to be extremely patient with people. The more that I've learned, the more that I've been able to understand scripture, understand religion and myself, the position I play as a student and a teacher. I've learned to become way more patient in giving people the time, and it usually takes years and pain, adversity, a lot of opposition in life is ultimately when you grow. So because I've had maybe an amplified dosage of that in my life, or procession of errors like that, I've been forced to really do some deep thinking and some soul searching and some questioning, and what I mean, second guessing and all that. You know what I
Right,
mean? But
right.
everybody comes to their own understanding at their own pace. Indeed, though, man. Let's get into some literature, F. Let's talk about some books, man. What's something that you would recommend to anybody, somebody trying to grow or learn or become stronger?
um, it depends, man. There's a lot of books that really shaped me when I was younger. A Brief History of Time was a major book for me. But if I had to recommend a book that maybe a lot of people haven't read, this is a novel. It's called 100 Years of Solitude, by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And it's really about history and understanding your history and how your history, whether it be your personal history, like what I did 10 years ago, or what my ancestors did 100 years ago, can affect me now. You know what I'm saying? And it is a novel, it's a novelization, it's not real, but the themes in it are super real. You know what I'm saying? The themes in it are it's human history. It's fucking just humankind. You know what I mean? So I suggest people pick up that book. The original book is in Spanish, but they've translated it into every language, and it's probably one of the best books I've read. Definitely recommend those two books to anybody who, I mean, just they're not about the same thing, but one is about just life in general, and another one's about science. But yeah, anybody who's trying to like learn things, further themselves. Those are two great books.
Awesome, man. Thank you for that, F. And I think that's a perfect segue to talk about undoubtedly my favorite song from you of all time is Fire Escape Life.
It's Eff Yoo. Yeah, it's Golden Child. Yeah, listen to this. Let me survey the sidewalk, peruse the pavement as I look out the iron horse we use as slave ships. That takes me to the 9 to 5 abuse, enslavement, but took me to the open mics in school, the same shit.
Produced by Golden Child.
Yeah.
And in that video is just incredible, bro. That like to this day, every single time I watch that video, the emotion is drummed up immediately. You know what I mean? It touches a piece of my heart and my soul that's very dear to me. And being a father of a young girl, especially, our daughters essentially grew up together. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So seeing Serene, um, seeing your daughter in the video like that, you know what I'm saying? So young. Now, when I watch the video, I go back now. I'm like, wow, like it's so true, man. It's cliche, but where does the time go? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And for you to capture that moment and just the creativity in the video, the message is essentially children learn more of what you show them and less of what you tell them. Talk to me a bit about that, Ev.
The song itself isn't really about that. The song, I had written it a long time before that. I would say probably a couple years before it came out. But when I started thinking about what to do in the video, I didn't want to do the cliche shit. You know what I mean? That everybody does. So I came up with that idea. You know what I mean? And it's funny because I recently showed that video to a family member who's here from Peru. It was like, "Oh, I seen all your videos, blah blah blah. How come you never put Serene in the video?" And I was like, "Oh, Serene's been in a couple of my videos, but this one." And I showed him. He's like, "That's Serene." I'm like, "Yeah." I wanted to make sure she was in there. And when I watched it again with him, like you said, now it touched something in me because I started to remember, oh yeah, I did this because I felt bad that she had seen me do shit like this. She seen me, she seen me bagging shit up in the house and fucking stashing money away and going out into the street. She was very young at the time, but like you said, kids learn from watching what their parents do and shit like that more so than what they tell them to do. You know what I mean? So I wanted it to put it in a perspective of this is what you've seen, but this is what I want you to do. That's why at the end of the video, I make sure hand her a few books, I give her a hug, and I'm like, at the end of the day, it's me and you. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try to give you these jewels and shit. Um, but yeah, man, that's how that video came about. I just wanted to do something different, and I wanted to put her in a video, and what better way?
No doubt. So superbly executed, my brother. That is it's a tearjerker, man, for sure. And yo, the lyrics, I mean, the shit you're saying, man, you're painting this picture of life, man, coming up. There's a part of that song, you know, the path from Corona to 40 Deuce is ancient. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit, it really does hit different, man, because it touches something in my childhood and all of our childhoods coming from Queens, you know what I'm saying? And riding the trains and all that, going into Manhattan to buy fucking brass knuckles and switchblades and shit from 40 Deuce, you know what I'm saying? It's just perfectly painted. Word up, man.
Yeah,
Bravo for that song, brother.
thank you, man. Thank you. It was something, a lot of people, and it's true. A lot of people say, you don't talk enough about yourself, even though everything I speak is comes from experience or comes from something about me, you know what I mean? But I guess they mean personally, you know what I mean? And I have a new song that I wrote, actually kind of in the same vein of Fire Escape Life for the new album and shit. um but it's true because I don't really I'd rather entertain people, you know what I mean, and maybe make people laugh or maybe tell somebody a story and shit rather than bring them into my pain. But every now and then, man, you got to bring your pain out and shit.
Indeed, indeed. I really wish more artists would delve into that area. I think there's a lot of artists out there. There's a lot of spitters, a lot of cats with unique styles that could benefit from opening up a little bit and speaking about some of the more difficult things for sure. But this video at the end, you give her that book, right? Is that correct? You hand her A Brief History of Time.
Yeah,
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 because
yeah.
it's obscured in the video. You can't really see what book it is. You know what I mean? But if you pause it at the right moment, you could kind of make it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I had a brief history of time. That book, it was something that, oddly enough, I started reading before I could understand it. I think like many books, man, many books I've had to go back and reread to really understand. You know what I mean? And that was one I think I read 4 or 5 times. And it just opened my. It may be why I don't really follow certain, you know, religions. Um, But yeah, I wanted to make sure that I handed her that book, and I think she's read it once, and I think she needs to read it again just to understand it. Now it's
Sure.
different, you know what I mean? You read something as a teenager, then you read it in your 20s, then you read it in your 30s, then you read it in your 40s. It's just you have more years of experience, and certain words mean different. Oh, he meant this when he said that. Duh. Now this other part makes sense. No shit, I didn't even think of that. And I think that's very important to try to reread books after some time. That's why I keep books. A lot of people are
Indeed.
like, why do you have a shelf full of books you already read? That's stupid. Like, no, it's not stupid. It's one of the best things you could do. Not only to pass it down, but you
Crazy.
should be rereading books. You know what I mean?
100%. Books are meant to be reread and referenced and studied and not just glossed over. You know what I mean? That's a fact. But another thing that's interesting about Fire Escape Life and a few of the gems that you've created with the brother Golden Child. And this is going back about 11 years, dare I say, about 12 years, maybe a year further back than that, but definitely about 12 years. Um, Nowadays, in the current state of hip hop, or underground hip hop, different chambers, you got a lot of so-called purists and cats that have a lot of hatred or disdain for drumless beats, right?
Mm.
Now, this style, this drumless beat style, has gained a lot of popularity in the last maybe 5 to 7 years from one camp, right? And that would be Griselda. Now, people identify that style so much with that camp, you know what I'm saying? That they call it the Griselda style now, you know what I mean? And Derringer gets a lot of that credit, and uh well do, you know what I'm saying? Because they utilized the style and they created something pretty remarkable with it. But this has been going on forever, right, F? This is something, you
Oh
know what I
yeah.
mean? Um, you had quite a few. You put me on a song with no drums on it, and that would be Wizard's Cookbook.
Burning body smoking in the rental. People said his brain was infected by devils on a higher level. Word to the opposition, I'm a wizard. Cooking up crack in a verbal kitchen.
Yo, yo. Hey yo, I'll probably drop a tab and drink some orange juice and vodka. Hop a cab to save a couple dollars. Meet you at the opera. I'm trying to find the proper vocals for this flow. I know some things. I know I need a fat lady to
That might
sing.
have been one of the first times I personally ever approached a song like that. Was this something you guys did intentionally back then?
See, I think, and you would know probably more than anybody else, that when I first started rhyming and shit, I was less focused on flow and more focused on trying to cram as many words and ideas into lines that I could. And I think drumless beats, they're gold for lyricists. They're
Indeed.
fucking absolute gold because you can play around with the flow. You could do run on sentences and do 3 4 bars that don't rap and then fucking rhyme the fourth bar. You know what I'm saying? Or you could go traditional with it and it still sound ill. I do think that I like an album that's mixed, drumless beats, drum beats, loops. You know what I mean? All everything. You know what I'm saying? I don't really like to listen to a whole album with absolutely no drums in it. That's just
Right.
me. But I think those drumless beats are gold for lyricists who are trying to put a lot, you know what I'm saying, into their song and shit. So at that point, I was telling Golden Child, yo, these loops are dope as is. You know what I mean? You know, he was trying to find drums and try this and that. I'm like, yo, nah, let's leave this shit like that. It started as one. I'm like, let's do one. Let's do one with no drums. And then he played the Wizard's Cookbook loop and shit. I'm like, yo, fucking Gems will kill this, murder this. And I'm like, yo, let's do another one. Let's do another. And even that album has, you know, songs with drums in it. But yeah, that was something that we did on purpose because I wanted to get as much as I could, as many words and shit in there as possible.
No doubt. No doubt. The album is dope, man. Legend of the Gnome Sword. Golden Child. Golden Child is definitely a producer that's ahead of his time in different ways, and a super talented brother. I would love to hear some more music from him in the near future, for sure, man.
We got
But
something with
yeah,
him on Ribs too. I got something with him on 14 Karat. So it's
yeah,
coming.
quiet as cat, quiet as
It's
cat,
it's
man.
it's coming, man. It's coming. He's definitely slept on. It's funny that you mentioned Gnome Sword and Fire Escape Life because I feel like I've grown so much as an MC since then. You know what I'm saying? Since doing that project and shit, that you know, I tend to forget some of the songs and shit and how ill they actually were. I was fucking bro in those days, bro. I was so fucked up, man. My head was in a totally different space. You know what I'm saying? It isn't where it is now. It's shit. I was just worried about fucking around, getting money. Didn't give a fuck about shit. Wasn't taking shit seriously. You know, it was just a totally different mind state and shit. And I forget how ill some of those songs actually came out.
No doubt, no doubt. Indeed, though, bro. Indeed, man. Sometimes in our darkest places, we make some of the brightest pieces of art, man. We come up with our brightest ideas, you know. And it's a gift and a curse many times. But yo, man, just to add on to that whole drumless beat conversation, though, man. For those who feel like it's not hip hop because the drum is missing, I think songs like "All That I Got Is You" from Ghostface Killer are a good reference point. And I think, something like I don't know, the symphony. You know what I'm saying? Might be a good reference point. Just the way I came off then, I'm gonna come off longer and stronger, even with the drum off. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Right.
the authority has spoken already long ago. You know what I'm saying? What's hip hop and what's, what I mean, what's creative. So shout out to Golden Child, shout out to Derringer, shout out to everybody being creative, man, and just making ill shit, regardless of how you do it. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
Word, man.
That's what it was all about, right? It was all about being creative and shit. It wasn't, I guess it started with the break beat, right? Obviously, with the drums is how it started, but it's all gonna evolve with creativity. You know what I mean?
No doubt. No doubt, man. Yo, one of my favorite lines from you, right? Very important line right here. You got a supercomputer attached to your arm and you using it for techno babble. Talk to us about this. Break this down, man, because I think people could benefit from this analyzation.
I mean, it's just something that I guess it's like you said, being a father and being older and being, I guess, wiser. You know what I'm saying? You start seeing that, damn, because we didn't have that. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have that.
Exactly.
Not to sound like some old curmudgeon and shit. You know what I'm saying? But these kids now literally have the power of a supercomputer on their wrist, man. You know what I'm saying? They can look up anything within a second, and they're using it for fucking TikTok dances and doing fucking weird challenges and shit like that. And again, not to sound like some old man and
No
shit, but I
doubt.
mean, I figured we'd be fucking, in a different place by then when we
Right.
had that. You know what I mean? Once we were able to take the world's knowledge and put it into a small little tablet that we could look into and shit, but we don't. So that's why I thought that was important to say some
Absolutely,
shit like
man.
that.
That whole song, that whole verse, The Grateful Dead is very important indeed. Was that Hanzo Blades that produced that?
The Grateful Dead. I would have to look that up now. You had to call me off
No
guard
doubt.
and
No, I
shit.
know how it be sometimes.
Uh,
Sometimes it's hard to keep track when you have 17,000 albums. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Yeah, I don't even have that many albums. I just have a horrible fucking memory, is what it is. It's not
No
even
doubt,
about
no
that.
doubt. That's that curmudgeon shit you was just talking about, son.
Yeah, exactly.
Yo, F, let's talk about one of my favorite things in the world, man. And that would be boxing. Now, I know you are a diehard fanatic, man. You know what I mean? Me and you speak about the fights every weekend, every time there's a fight on, whether it be
Pretty
MMA, whether
much.
it be boxing. And I've heard you give me your answers before, but I've also heard them change from time to time. Give the people your who is your two-part question, your favorite boxer and who's the greatest boxer?
Uh huh.
Because like I say that Nas is the greatest rapper, but my favorite rapper is Pun, you know?
Damn. I mean, shit. I can't. I can't go back to like old films, right? Willie Pep and fucking Floyd Patterson and shit. I haven't, I've watched them on YouTube fleetingly, but I haven't studied them. I didn't watch the fights. You know what I'm saying? So I can't really go back that far. So I'm sure there'll be people who'll be like, "What do you mean, fucking Joe
Right.
Lewis was the best? What are you talking about?" I'm just gonna say from fights that I've seen, um, my favorite boxer, and this is gonna sound cliche, is Mike Tyson. But I'll tell you why. Because of the era that I started watching boxing in and where I was. I remember sitting down with my father, my uncle, probably the first times in my life where they kind of considered me as part of the team. You know what I mean? Obviously I wasn't drinking beers and shit and smoking cigarettes with them, but I was part of the team. I was sitting on the couch with them watching Mike Tyson at fucking 9 o'clock on Channel 7 or whatever. You know what I mean? It wasn't even pay-per-view and shit at the time. And those were some of my fondest memories. On top of the fact that I was also watching an assassin at the time just fucking
Out.
obliterate everybody. It was something no one had ever seen. Every fight was ending 15 seconds, second round, 25 seconds. He was just obliterating everybody. So I would say that's my favorite boxer. the best boxer I've seen. And again, this is gonna fucking divide people. And like you said, it changes all the time because I remember other fights, or I'll rewatch a fight and I'll be like, nah, nah. You know what I mean? I take it back. This guy was truly the best. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's because of where I was at the time, and I followed his career from very early on. Would be Floyd Mayweather Jr. I mean, I remember him
For
dismantling
sure.
Arturo
For
Gatti,
sure.
who, his fight with Ward was fresh. His trilogy with Ward was fresh in my mind. So he was just a fresh baby face, kind of just good looking guy, young, and he was killing shit. Even though he might have been on his way down at the time, a young, a young, mostly inexperienced, fresh Floyd Mayweather Jr. on the come up dismantled him. And from that point on, I saw him
No doubt.
basically dismantle everybody. Did he have bad fights? Yeah. Did he have fights where I was like, yo, he fucking too much shoulder roll? He sure. Sure, I'll give you that. But technically, he's probably the best fighter I've seen in my lifetime.
I don't disagree. On the defensive scale, I think there's no room for disagreement. There's no conversation. There's nothing to talk about. He's absolutely the greatest defensive boxer of all time.
He was very offensive and great in offense before he broke his hand. Remember? After he started breaking his
Yep.
hands, he had to become defensive. But then he was so fucking great at being defensive that he even made Manny Pacquiao. He made fucking Canelo Alvarez look like, he made fucking Cotto look like they were not fucking who they were. And I'm talking about some of the best. Manny Pacquiao, Canelo Alvarez, these are some of the best boxers. He made them look like they didn't know what they were doing just
No doubt.
defensively.
Sugar Shane
And
did his
that
thing,
shit
man.
alone,
Mosley did his
that
thing.
shit alone.
Um, for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, that
But he lost
Mosey
that
almost
fight.
had him, but he lost that fight.
Zab Judah did
Zab
extremely
Judah almost
well.
had him,
And
but he lost that fight.
And
But he lost that fight.
who would you say is and I'm not poking holes in this man's legacy, but we're talking boxing, we're talking about, decisions that may have went the wrong way. I think some of them are obviously more plain than others, you know what I mean? But who did Floyd Mayweather lose convincingly to? Do you feel that there was a decision that he lost convincing?
I feel like there were two in his career, but they were very early on. There was a young Mexican fighter. I don't remember his name, but right after this fight, he was um he was kicked out of the United States and not allowed to return or fight again. I want to say his name was Chavez, um, but
Uh,
Floyd Mayweather Jr. lost that fight. He lost the fight to that young man. This was early on in his career, and then I believe in my opinion, lost to damn, oh shit, I gotta look up
is
his
it
name now.
Castillo?
It's
That
Castillo. That's
that's
right.
that's the
That's right.
one
Sorry,
that
I was
I
thinking
would say.
Corrales, and
That's
I'm
the
like, no, not
one
Corrales.
time that I felt
I feel like he lost to Castillo. He was given that he was on the come up. Castillo was not on the come up, and I think the judges were like, let's give it to the young scrapper on the come up. Let's not take this away from him, which I don't agree with. I don't agree with, but he did win that fight. That's one fight where if someone was like, oh, he lost that fight, I would agree with. Probably there's no other where if someone said he lost the fight, I'd be
right,
like, that's
right,
just the way
right.
you saw it.
Well,
There was a fight this weekend. I wanted to talk to you about. We could take this off the record, but I did want to talk to you about it. Boxer called Nina Hughes, who had like 6 wins, but she somehow had the belt. She beat her convincingly. I watched the fight. Nina Hughes, the champion, lost the belt to Cherneka Johnson. And then I rewatched it with my father-in-law in Spanish with the Spanish broadcasters, and they were like, I don't know what the judges are looking at. Nina Hughes, the Mexican, definitely won that fight. And I'm like, this is crazy. All three of them were like, how could this happen? She was robbed. And I'm like, how could they have watched this fight and watched this lady and say this lady that was robbed? I watched the same fight
word.
and she definitely lost that fight. Like, what's going on here? And in the American broadcast, obviously those commentators, well, not obviously, but those commentators agreed. that Trineka Johnson won the fight. All three of them were like, she won convincingly, no doubt about it, just like the judges. So it was just weird to see that dichotomy, how people see fights differently, using their perspective,
Indeed,
right?
indeed,
Using
and
their bias.
it's very difficult to get away from your own personal biases. You know what I mean? The best way to avoid them growing into something that's not beneficial to you is to continuously learn. You know what I mean? Just accept the position of student, and you will have less personal biases. You'll have more understanding, for sure. But shit, man, a lot of horrible decisions in boxing, and it happens in MMA. And the truth of the matter is, I feel like it's beginning to happen a lot more in MMA. Seeing a lot more just odd things. You know, just recently you had Alex Pereira fighting Jamal Hill, and you had the referee Herb Dean step in to regulate a low kick, and in the process of him stepping in, you have Pereira who's advancing and has the momentum. You know what I mean? He waves the ref away and says, "No, no, I'm good." And then he basically is controlling not only the rhythm of the fight, but he's also controlling the fucking rules now. You know what I'm saying? The cage in that sense. And I feel like that took away from the rhythm of Jamal Hill. I'm not saying that he wouldn't have lost either way. I'm not saying none of that. I'm just saying I think that was poor refereeing and things like that. Like in other sports, when we go to the tape, you know what I mean? Like there should be something, you know what I mean? If we're able to, if we're able to fucking rewind and go, yo, hold on, this doesn't seem right. You know what I'm saying? And, make it right. Make it right. Make them fight again.
Bring back the mob, bro. Bring back the mob. They knew how to keep everyone in control. You know what I'm saying? They had everybody fucking doing the right thing. The winner was
Yo,
gonna win. You knew it
yo,
was gonna
nah,
win, and
nah.
that's it.
Listen. You know what's crazy is that so many magical boxing moments came out of that fucking real mob-soaked era. But how many fucking people caught a bad deal? Who knows? But listen, I'll tell you what. What do you think about live scoring, bro? What do you think about, every fucking round, both fighters, it happens right there, and before the next round starts, the scores are up. The same way the fighter looks up at the clock, he can look up at the scoreboard. You know what I'm saying? So if he's down, he knows for a fact that he's down, that he got to make this next round this way or that way. You know what I'm saying? What do you think about that?
I think that would be great for us at home. I don't think it would be so good as far as excitement, because if you're way up, and maybe you didn't know you were way up, but now because of the scores you do, you're gonna slow the pace down. So the last round, maybe you're fucking running away, maybe you're on your bicycle, and this other guy doesn't get a chance to fucking catch up and do the moves he wanted to do, because now you're only doing defense.
I see that. I
And that's
see
gonna
that.
suck for
But
him
it
because he
might
doesn't get
drive
the
it might
chance.
drive him
And
forward
it's gonna
though too.
suck
It might drive the other
it's gonna
guy
suck for
forward.
us
It might
watching.
make him want to cut the ring off more, do a little more cornering, and try to just let it fly, to make it dirty, get in close. Instead of maybe I'm close. Maybe the fight is closer than I think. And yo, look, this guy's running. The judges are gonna say he's losing. No, no. If you know you're fucking losing, and this guy's trying to get on his bicycle, you know what I'm saying? And now, it's time to close the distance and give it all you got. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I think that there's definitely pros and cons to it for sure, man.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be those people like that too. There's gonna be those blood and gut warriors who are blood and guts warriors no matter what. And there's gonna be those guys who are thinking a little smarter, the Mayweathers who are like, yo, chill, let me fucking save myself for the
Right.
next fight, for the next fucking payday that I gotta get. Um, and it's gonna work. So that's why I think, because of that, people are like, let's just leave it how it is. But there's definitely a lot of fucking corruption, or just big, big, big mistakes, man. That you're like, what the fuck is going on? Who gave this guy a fucking
Indeed.
license?
Indeed. Yeah, yeah. There's a bunch. There's definitely a bunch. Homeboy who what's his name, man? He's actually and you mentioned this to me. He's actually a decent ref, but son, that ref the Haney and Garcia fight seemed to be wilding.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was given. I don't know what that is there. You know what I mean? I don't know if they're given a talk by the commission who they work for, like, hey, look, cut this guy a little bit of breaks. We're trying to make a little bit more money, unless it's super one sided, or if it's just heat of the moment. A lot of times, like that Herb Dean situation, I do think that he was wrong for that, but a lot of those decisions are made in a split second. And even though he should know better, especially Herb Dean, right? He's a veteran. Maybe he was surprised by the hater going like, "Nah, I got this. Nah, chill." It's probably like, "What the fuck?" Like, I was, he just kicked him in the
Yeah,
balls. Like, and
yeah,
so
yeah.
maybe that split second of like, "What the fuck," made him not do it when he should have. So I don't really blame him. There's things like you can't really call it. I
Yeah.
don't really blame the
I
people
think
unless
it's
it's
a
just
teachable
outright
moment, though. I
like,
think I
no, this
think
guy was on the
from
take.
now
You know
on
what
it
I'm
should be
saying?
clear that once the ref steps in to
Yeah.
officiate something, the fighter is not in authoritative position to decline the officiating. You know what I'm saying? And decide when the pace of the fight continues or resumes. You know, I think that's a real big one right there. I hope Herb Dean learned from that one. You know what I'm saying? But I would like to see those two brothers go at it again, man. Pereira and Jamal Hill. I like Jamal Hill. I think he's real good, super slept on, and John Jones got his eyes on Pereira now. So we'll see how all that plays out. But yo, man, before we get out of here, man, you have a vast knowledge, brother, of the Marvel universe. You know what I'm saying? You've made it a tradition, you and baby girl, to go and see every single edition that the MCU releases. And I think that's dope, man. I'm sure you'll be able to make a big collage of pictures at the movies from when she was young up until now, you know what I'm saying, of all the movies, you know what I'm saying?
Real.
That shit is dope, son. But off the top of your head, man, who is the illest superhero and who is the most dastardly supervillain of all time?
Oh shit. That's tough, man. I would say, in my opinion, the illest superhero hasn't changed for me since I was a kid, and it was always Logan. It was always Wolverine. And I think it was because of his attitude, right? And it's kind of similar to, I'm not comparing myself to Wolverine by any means, but it's sort of like, yo, I don't give a fuck attitude, man. I know who I
Stoic.
am. I know what I'm here for.
Very stoic.
I'm here to fucking beat up bad guys and fuck that. Yeah, that's it, man. I don't give a fuck about Scott Summers. You in love with Jean Grey? I'm gonna fuck her if she want to fuck me, dude. You know what I'm saying? If she don't,
My guy, Wolverine.
you know what I mean? I'm here to beat up bad guys, bro. What's up? Leave me alone. And so yeah, I think he's one of the illest, man. His storylines are some of the illest storylines too. A lot of teachable shit. You know what I mean? And one of the most dastardly villains
For
is
sure.
probably Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom is ill because he's super smart, and he's hell bent on taking over everything. You know what I mean? He doesn't really have a heart and shit. There really hasn't been any moments where they've shown him have a heart and shit. So yeah, I'd probably say those are probably on two sides:
Yeah, that's ill,
Wolverine and
son.
Doctor Doom.
That's ill. I could easily agree with Doctor Doom for the villain. And you already know, man, the Wolverine is also right up there, very high for me. You know what I'm saying? But the truth is, man, it'll never change for me either. It'll always be uh, Peter Parker from Queens, New York. You know what I'm saying? That'll always be my
Mm,
guy, man.
right, right.
Just the mixture of intelligence and agility. You know what I'm saying? And creativity, you know what I mean? Always connected with me as a child, man. And obviously the story arcs, some of the illest ones ever. But Doctor Doom, though, is a part of one of my favorite story arcs of all time, and it has to do with the Hulk. And it's when Bruce Banner figures out a way to separate the Hulk from himself permanently. You know what I'm saying? And he goes to Doctor Doom. Well, Doctor Doom plays a quite of a hand in this whole thing going down. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, the Bruce Banner finds out that he's actually a disgusting, detestable piece of shit without the Hulk. You know what I mean? And the Hulk winds up going on to become like this humble, fucking, you know what I'm saying? Holistic, fucking peaceful thing. You know, and
Right,
it's a
right.
real dope story arc, man, for sure. But yeah, man, thank you for that, F. That was a great answer, brother. Word up, man. Yo, before we go though, man, because I know your time is running thin, brother. Leave the people. Well, first and foremost, tell them anything you want to tell them, anything you got coming forward, and then cap it off with one jewel, something they can learn from, man.
I mean, the main thing I want to tell everybody is my name is Eff Yoo. You know what I'm saying? I thought I was real slick naming myself FU with YOO, right? And it fucking backfired on me, son. But and I've considered changing it. And you know, to be honest, people have had two ways of thinking because I've been like, yo, I'll go by FUYOU. I don't really fucking care because I'm me at the end of the day. Whether you spell it with two O's or OU, as long as you get it right, that my name is FU. I was trying to be punk rock, right? I was trying to be,
No
hey, my
doubt.
name's fuck you, kid. I don't give a fuck, right? But and yo, I'm still working on music. I got to tell everybody who may not know. I try to say it all the time. Try to give you your flowers every time I can. This is one of the illest MCs, and for one of the illest MCs, spit gems, to say that they think you're one of the illest is one of the fucking best compliments I could ever have. So just off the strength of that, I can't stop. You know what I mean? There's mad times where I'm like, yo, I'm not gonna rap no more, bro. I might go back to fucking DJing, or I might start a podcast. And you're like, nah, son, you got to. And just off
That's
the
the
strength of
grandest
that, I continue to
compliment for
do
you
it. You know
to
what I mean?
express it as a compliment.
So
You already know how I feel, brother. You have driven me creatively for years, and you've kept me sharp. You know what I mean? The daily sparring. You know what I mean? And just building the parallels of our life. You know what I mean? With our family, with our children, the things we've been through. You know what I mean? I appreciate you greatly, brother. You are a true friend and a daily inspiration, man. Word up. No,
same to you, brother. Thank you, man. But we got music coming up, man. All this year, next year. Just look me
no
up and
doubt,
just
no
get the
doubt.
name right. That's all I
Rikers
ask.
Island Boxing School Part 2 is on the way, and when that time draws nearer, me and FU will revisit an episode to speak exclusively about that in depth. And yeah, man, stay tuned. Yo, F, thank you so much, brother. I'll talk to you in a few.
Half chicken, half lamb, extra barbecue, no haram. Half chicken, half lamb, extra barbecue, no haram. Wrote this whole verse in Worcestershire sauce. Drove a black hearse through Berkshire Farms just to pick the freshest fruit for the homemade hummus. Even with your little buzz, you buzzers couldn't cut the mustard. I'm plus